36 Degrees North YouTube page and check them all out. And if you do that, there will be a pop quiz. Just kidding. Okay, so I'm a little goofy if y'all don't know. And I just want to have fun. We just want to have a good time, you know? Just gonna have a good time. Again, my name is Tara Payne. I'm the community coordinator for 36 Degrees North at our Camp 2 location. This series is proudly brought to you by 36 Degrees North in partnership with our friends at the Greenwood Cultural Center. I just want to take this time to acknowledge Michelle Burdex. They're at the Greenwood Cultural Center and their entire staff. Thank you guys so much for partnering with us on this. This has been amazing. We could not have done it without them. So why black gold? Well, why? I'm just kidding. Leon's like, wait, that's not part of what I'm supposed to say. It's like a play on words, right? So Oklahoma being the oil capital, right? As well as with Black Wall Street being such a gem, there's literally gold there. So that's why we named it Black Gold. It was born out of a desire of our team to stand in solidarity with the community. I just said that. So one of our goals is to make sure, one of our goals at 36 Degrees North as an organization is to make our organization look like Tulsa as far as diversity is concerned. So being that we are Tulsa's base camp for entrepreneurs, we recognize that we would be remiss if we talked about entrepreneurship and didn't talk about like the mecca of Black entrepreneurship in the nation, right? Which was here in our city. So in doing that, we wanted to partner with the right people, which is why we got the Cultural Center. I just realized that I may be talking a little bit fast. No? I have a tendency to do that. So if I do, you can just say, I'm looking at you, sis, with the red hat, just be like, okay. So the centennial of the tragedy that happened in our city sparked a lot of interest. I was actually at a Build in Tulsa event the other day, and I heard Trey Thaxton, who is the founder of 1921 Gold Mill Co. And he talked about how we have a tendency to talk so much about the massacre, but before 1921, literal magic happened here, right? And afterwards, it was rebuilt, right? So we want to talk about all the great things that happened. People who came to Tulsa. I said in one of our previous episodes that it was literally like the first Tulsa remote, right? So people came and were like, hey, you should come to Tulsa. You should build here. So we're going to highlight the amazing story. Leon's going to tell us, oh man, I wasn't going to say his name yet. Our guest is going to tell us about a Black Wall Street entrepreneur that he did some research on. Let's see. So since I already told you who I'm sitting with, let me just tell you who I'm sitting with. If you don't know, which I think a lot of you do, Leon Fowler is our guest for this evening. Leon Fowler is a native of Tulsa. Just read your bio real quick.
Go right ahead.
Okay. He's a third generation entrepreneur. He started his first business at the age of 12, where he was maintaining candy and vending machines. After working in corporate America for 10 years, he decided to use his technical experience to start a tech company that created software for a mobile application. During those 2 years in the tech industry, he gained priceless knowledge, which he took with him when he ventured back into the tech space with the development of the app that he has, Influencer, that allows its users the ability to build their businesses and community virtually alongside like-minded individuals. Initially, the target market for his creation was unclear. After running a beta test of the app, he quickly realized word of mouth marketing for small businesses, not large corporations, is what quickly grew business listings. Growing up in Tulsa, Leon knew about Black Wall Street and its significance to our community. His time living in Oklahoma City was very fruitful, but it felt only right for him to move back to Tulsa and launch his business during the centennial commemoration of the destruction of Greenwood, while simultaneously planting a seed of recreating an untouchable community of small businesses here and across the nation. So if you will help me welcome Leon Fowler, if you put your hands together for him.
appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak. Thank you to everyone that came and showed up to hear me speak, those online that couldn't make it. But Tara, thank you for giving me this opportunity and other entrepreneurs this opportunity to speak and share their story and learn about some of the founders of Black Wall Street.
Yes, I was gonna say amen, y'all want to stick out church. I might go. I had to bring me back. Red hat, sis, make sure if I didn't come back, I got you. But, so we want to talk about, and it's my pleasure, Leon, honestly, I'm honored to be able to do this. And it gives me like so much energy to be alongside other Black entrepreneurs and to be able to tell the story of Black Wall Street. So I'm honored to be here and to have you. Okay, so you did some research.
OW Girl.
Tell me.
So the coincidence of reading about him and learning about his past, definitely, it was the right thing. It really was. Born in Alabama, raised in Arkansas. He was one of the original people that came during the Trail of Tears and actually settled in Perry, Oklahoma. And when oil struck here in Tulsa, he decided, he was an entrepreneur there, he wanted to come here and bought up land just north of the train track. And the things that he did, it wasn't what everyone would have done, but it's what made him unique as far as one of the founders. He began by just creating that infrastructure, by taking the land and saying, hey, we can have businesses here, a residential area here. And he knew because of the oil, there's going to be a lot of people coming to Tulsa. Like you said, Tulsa, the first Tulsa remote of individuals who wanted to come where there's opportunity. And so he helped set up that foundation, that infrastructure, and he didn't stop there. That was the great part. He could have just stopped right there and said, hey, there's opportunity here. When people came, he started creating businesses and opportunity for the people to come to be even more successful. So the employment agency that he created, renting out houses and hotels and things, I think that he took the opportunity to set that foundation for them, but then continue by adding more things that he could offer these people in Tulsa. And it created one of the greatest communities ever built.
That's so true. So whenever we set our framework for this program, we say, okay, we're gonna have our modern day entrepreneur research, as we just talked about, a Black Wall Street entrepreneur. And honestly, the pick is like random, like, oh, you go with this person, you go with that person. It seems like it's random. But tell me about some of these things that you have in common with OW Girl. And for those of you who don't know, OW Girl is one of, like Leon said, one of the founders of Black Wall Street.
Right.
Listen to this, y'all.
So from Alabama, my dad's from Alabama. The infrastructure that he's created is what I want to create with my software as far as building a place for small businesses to be successful. The hotel, so I'm a third generation entrepreneur, so my grandfather owned motels and gas stations. My mom was an author and sold books and prints and talked about, lots of different things from Blacks in the Bible to dementia care and stuff. So in my entire history is about entrepreneurship, and the ties just were so similar. So when we talk about the software and that infrastructure that OW built with Influencer, my goal is to create an opportunity or space for small businesses to communicate to their consumers without the noise of social media. People on social media, because they like photos and pictures and want to create arguments back and forth and debates back and forth, and businesses try to survive through the noise. And my thought with the software was, let's build a place specifically for small businesses to help them grow, to help them reach their consumers, and then start offering additional solutions and services that specifically fit their business. So identifying where, Tulsa, there's tons of people who are selling food out of their house on weekends or on certain times, and they're working their way up to food trucks or to get point of sale systems, or things like that, or if they need to put out a menu item. So with some of the connections I've made here, we started building this platform, but we're also working on solutions that fit some of those needs that countless people are in need of. And they lack, not saying they fully lack the resources, but they lack people who are dedicated to targeting them to fulfill those needs, to fulfill those resources. And so the correlation between what OW was building, it feels like this is a new opportunity to create that community of small businesses and not just have businesses be siloed and on their own, because that's really what it is. If you were to look out there, I guarantee you could count over 600 businesses out there in Oklahoma today, but they're lacking that community aspect of, we're not shopping at one business, we're shopping at multiple businesses, or we're not afraid to share and talk about other businesses because I just want to focus on me and my own business. And that's what I believe the blueprint that Black Wall Street gave us, was that when you're not so just completely independent, and we're interdependent upon each other, we're going to be remembered much longer than our own business. We're going to be celebrated 100 years from now.
Right, you said interdependence, which I love that. And so to me, it's like, since I've met you, Leon, one thing I realize about you is that you are a community builder. And I think that resonates with me because I feel like I'll do the same thing. But you talked about OW Girly setting that infrastructure. So you are the OW Girly of the digital space. Talk about Blueprint. Let's talk about Blueprint on your shirt. What's that?
So I had a gentleman, Derek, with fashion.
Building community.
Right. So, like I was saying before, not afraid to be able to share and talk about other businesses. So I talked to Derek. I said, look, I need this logo on the shirt because I want to promote a business that has been beneficial to me over the past couple of months that I've been dedicated to. So I think she's somewhere around here. And thank you, Ms. Marquita Holmes, who was able. I wanted to share her business and show her studio that she works me to death in every time I go. But I wanted to promote her and not be afraid to support each other, because that's what builds the community. There's a lot of business, and every now and then you're going to see companies that sometimes support each other. But if we actively are not afraid and have the courage to talk about and share other businesses, that's how we recreate Black Wall Street.
Can we clap for that? That was really good. I can't remember how the proverb goes. It's something like, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. Have y'all heard that? That's what I hear whenever you're saying what you're saying. Because it's interesting, because as a people, we are communal people. I mean, when you look back at Africa, we are in tribes, we're together. And that was the strength, like you said, of Black Wall Street, is it was just like, okay, come here. I mean, he really had like the first co-working space, because he bought the buildings.
Right.
And we're like, okay, you need an office space? Okay, come over here. I got your office space. You need a place to live? I got a building over, And so the beauty of community, I think that I just want to pause and just make sure, I'm sure you guys are getting this, but to make sure that we just put a stamp on how important community is. That's one of the reasons why 36 Degrees North is here, because we saw in the city of Tulsa, not just Black entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs, period, were siloed. And it's so crazy because Tulsa's small and you can know everybody, but still like, oh, Leon, I didn't know you did.
Right.
And then even if I know you do that, like I could have my version of the business, and you could have You could have, your app, and still I'm over here by myself struggling, trying to figure out, how do I do this? How do I do this? And that's the beauty of having a place where you can go, the influencer, the 36 degrees north, to find those resources, right?
Right. And it's live right now. The goal is, I want it to be easy for you to find and support small businesses, no matter what city that you're in, no matter what industry you're trying to find, and be able to target Black, women-owned, and minority businesses just by searching and finding, because we talk about it all the time. That's kind of where the name of influencer comes from.
Yeah, talk about that. This is interesting.
Okay, so we talk about businesses all the time. We recommend them. I didn't know about Blueprint Studio until a friend of mine mentioned it, and then now I start going there regularly. But we don't reward or thank people enough for that influence that they bring to our businesses. And what is rewarded is, okay, I have 1 million followers on IG. Well, maybe you look good, they want to follow. Or maybe, I mean, there's various reasons, but there's actual people in communities all over the country that talk about and share businesses, and they prove and provide monetary value for those businesses. I've signed up to Marquita's classes. Like, she's taking a monetary benefit because someone wasn't afraid to share about business. And so my goal for influencer, and my next phase of influencer, is to start bringing transparency to the monetary influence everyday people have on small businesses. To be able to say, yes, Leon shared your promotion of your business, and 10 people came back and spent money. So Leon monetarily influenced my business by X number of dollars. So I can thank him whichever way I choose. But me as a platform, I'm going to build up their profile and say, yeah, he may not have 1 million followers on IG, but in these different industries, in this region, he monetarily influenced multiple industries. And that's where phase 3 comes into play, where they can start taking advantage of businesses looking to pay people for their monetary influence. Instead of their millions of followers and, hey, sell my tummy tea, it's, I'm looking for somebody in Tulsa that influence fashion. Who are these individuals? Let me pay them. And so influencer's name comes from empowering monetary influencers. And at every phase of my business, we're helping small businesses out. So that's where I find passion.
I love that. That is amazing. Because, you might have the people who are not on social media, who are like, like everybody got an auntie that's like, Marquita got the studio over there, you need to go take a class, or Crystal has her business and she's doing, websites, and that does, I think that being digital is great, it's amazing, but nothing, in my opinion, will ever top word of mouth, ever. And so I love how you captured the ability to make sure that you reward people who are sharing that.
Correct. And that was my initial thing, was how can I track word of mouth marketing? Who shares word of mouth marketing the most? And it's everyday people. If you go to brunch and you bring 10 people, you influence that business. If you host an event or take someone out to coffee, you influence that business. And not to have you go out of your way to prove it, this is what we do every day. And I just want to bring transparency to that and be able to reward people for that influence that they bring.
That's good. Can we go to that? Ask for some participation. How many people here have a business or know somebody who has a business? Okay. All y'all with your hands up. Influencer app. And I'm raising my hand too, because I have one too, right? And I know a lot of people do too. That's a lot of people.
It is. And it's easy to sign up if you just go to influencer.com and sign up. It is literally, it's free to sign up. Even when we start subscriptions, it is still going to be free for you to add your business to the platform. There's just going to be subscriptions for the number of activities that you do. But the goal is, I want people to find you that don't know who exists. I want people to know that if I look on the map and you're having a pop-up shop around the corner, or your food truck that I thought was across town is now a few blocks away, I want to go support you. I want that capability. and people that come into town. There's so many people coming into town, Tulsa Road, a few other places, that they don't want to go to big fast food chains. They want to know what local businesses are here. And they literally have to ask random people regularly, where is this? Where is that? Where can I get this? Where can I get my hair done? Nails, that's the biggest thing.
And everything big.
Right. Listen, right. And so I want to make that easy no matter what city you go into to find where locals are supporting and where they're sharing and where they're talking about your product.
So what can we do to help you? Like, how can we sign up, or how can we, you told us how to sign up, but is there anything else that you need that we can do? I mean, because we're here to help, we build a community.
Share it. The goal is to not just add your own business or not just sign up yourself, but to talk to other business owners, to talk to other organizations. You might be a nonprofit that needs communication directly to consumers, or people who may take a Facebook break, who may not be on social media, but they want to know what activities your business or organization is doing, and you want to communicate to them. So our platform allows that direct communication. You can schedule when it's live, you can schedule GPS-based activities, you can put in a lot of things that benefit and communicate to people that want to know what you're doing. And so I just want to make that easy and accessible. So sharing it, getting on influencer.com, websites for good, did a great job updating my website. So I wanted to shout them out, but there's more content on there, and there's videos how to, and I'm easily accessible. I think I live in 36 degrees.
No joke. I feel like, yeah,
Right.
we're here.
We're gonna put a
No, legit, this morning, I was like, yeah, you were here when I left, and you're here before. You good? Like,
Yeah, that's
working
it.
hard.
Right. It has to, as most.
So influencer is where you are now, but that's not where you started.
Not at all.
Okay, so what's this skydiving picture? What's that about?
So I'm a risk taker. Now I'm a calculated risk taker, and with this image, right? This image represents something I don't ever have to do again. But I was talked into doing it, but it sums up entrepreneurship in general, whether it's me or anybody else that's out there. I saw a quote that said entrepreneurship is like jumping off a cliff and building an airplane on your way down. Because we're really taking a risk being entrepreneurs, going in and being self-employed and just doing it. But we're siloed. We're living and dying based just upon what we can accomplish. And that doesn't have to be the case.
It's not, I'm about to do a plug, because I heard Crystal speak today, talk about how you can add to your team. So if you don't know Crystal speak, she is a member here at 36 Degrees North, and she's amazing. She's your HR strategist, I believe, on Instagram. And yeah, we don't have to be siloed. She actually walks you through how you can add to your team, because it's not true. It will get done if you don't do it. Somebody else can do it.
Someone else can. And other businesses that fill a need, whether it's administratively, whether it's design, marketing, social media, there's other people that can help grow. And we have to not be afraid to be able to say, hey, here's a business you need to go support. I might be too expensive,
Yeah.
but here's someone who fits your budget and can do a great job. And I'm not afraid to share, even though we have similar.
Yeah, and so that's the beauty of community. It's not gonna take anything away from my business if I share your business, even though we're in the same lane, because you bring what you bring and I bring what I bring. So we don't have to be afraid to say, oh yeah, go to Leon. You know?
Think about Black Wall Street, multiple theaters, multiple doctors, multiple everything within a certain mile range, and we're afraid to tell somebody about a business across the city. That is something that we have to unlearn and reteach ourselves, that there's nothing wrong with being communal and working with each other. Because we can only, for lack of better words, big up each other.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I want to take time to highlight a couple people, if that's okay. So we talked about websites, and the person who did my website is in this room. And not only has she done my website, but if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have a business. Yes, Crystal Ipakoya. So let's clap it up for Crystal. She's amazing. It's called Boston Counters. And she does websites, she does business coaching, she does a lot of different things. So you may want to talk to Crystal. You need to talk to Crystal before you leave. I'm just saying. We're gonna get questions at the end. I see you, Paul. I see you. But Crystal is somebody who I wanted to make sure that I mentioned her name because she's amazing. I get so many compliments on my website. And I'm like, Crystal, you just call her. Another person that I want to shout out is this shirt that I have on. So it's become a tradition in Black Hole for me to wear this shirt of a local Black entrepreneur. And tonight I'm wearing a t-shirt that says A Elise Boutique. And that is a boutique that's actually owned by my cousin Shantae King. I don't know if she's here or if she's on Facebook, but if you are able, go to A Elise Boutique on Facebook. She also has her own mobile boutique. So she's got a truck. Yeah, and she goes different places. She travels outside of the state. But I wanted to take this time to shout her out because, well, not only because she's my cousin, but she's just amazing. And I know there are people in the room who love her boutique as well. So it's A as an apple, Elise, E-L-I-S-E. I'm so sorry. E-L-I-S-E Boutique. And what's weird about that is my daughter's name is Asha Elise. I had no, and her daughter's name is Amaya Elise. Yeah, they're years apart, but anyway, A Elise Boutique, Boss Encounters, Crystal Ipakoya in the room, check them out. So calculated risks.
Calculated risks.
Okay, third generation entrepreneur.
Yes. So
we talked about where you are with influencer.
Right.
Where did it begin?
It really began, which is hilarious. It's funny to me. Wanda J's was the first business to ever allow me to place a candy machine in her business when I was 12. So I mowed lawns and did everything I could to build up the money to buy one. And Wanda J's was the first place to allow me to open. So the fact that they're still on Greenwood, and when I came back after 20 years, I was like, wow, I expected to see fluctuation. But the fact that they're still there, they're still going strong, was huge. So
I got the next generation.
now I have the next generation.
Yeah.
So yes, I mowed lawns until I could afford to buy a candy machine. And then I made enough money over time to buy a gumball machine that I placed at a beauty salon. And by the time I got to high school, I'd saved up about half. My parents helped me with about half to buy a snack machine that we placed in Gilcrease Middle School. And so at the age of 14, 15, I'm making a couple $100s a week, just going from business to business and not having to work while I was in school. So I say I caught the bug, the entrepreneurship bug early, and I've been a terrible employee ever since. I knew every step I took, I knew this is only simple. And so that began, my journey, my want to always start a business. It was just trying to identify what that would be and identify what would be beneficial and what would pay the most. Just gonna be completely honest. It was all about pay at first. It was all about what I could do with the least amount of work. And for a while there, it was just physical labor jobs. So trash valet type businesses, other type businesses that I tried to dabble in. But at some point I realized you have a degree in MIS, you work in IT, why not do something in tech? And so I'd given myself 10 years when I graduated college. I said after 10 years, I'm going to do this job. It was a great job at an energy company, paying great money, and they did huge layoffs. I mean, it was around the time when energy companies were doing huge layoffs. So I took my severance, took my 401k, and said, I'm going all the way in tech business. And yeah, I failed.
And see, that's something people don't want to talk about in business. I think a lot of times, myself included, that kept me from starting. Right. Because I had failure on my brain. But failure is actually, it works in our favor.
It does. It's a learning experience, truthfully. if you don't learn from your failures, you're never gonna grow. And like I said, I take the risk. So for me, I've been doing business since I was 12. So I understood brick and mortar business. I understood labor business. I understood everything. I didn't fully understand tech, but I said, I'm gonna go about it the same way I go about any business. I have a great idea, I thought, and it's just gonna work, right? I spent the next so yeah, this was.
So you had a great idea, you thought,
I had a great idea.
but somebody came along and said, "Ooh, I know nobody told you, but your name is really." Yeah. Let's talk about that.
It wasn't this.
It wasn't this group?
This group. Yes, you got a great idea. This was the first event, 1 million cups, that I had an opportunity to speak about my first tech business. Everyone loved it. It's a great idea, very beneficial. The thing about it, it was the app was called Resume Writer. It's really a living document of your experiences in life, so you don't have to try to remember whenever you need a resume, right? So for individuals, especially people being laid off, that's important. For investors, venture capitalists who will never apply for another job, this is terrible. What are you talking? We have LinkedIn for this. And so I spent about a year and a half getting a lot of no's, and they don't tell you why they say no. They just say no. And so I spent about a year and a half spinning my wheels and realizing, listen, this severance is disappearing, your 401k is disappearing, all this money that you put into it is disappearing. You don't have anything to show for it. And that's when I got an opportunity to go to California for Startups Illustrated. I actually met a gentleman who said, you need to come, find any way you can to get to Oakland. And I did, I finally did about a year and a half in, and I went to boot camp, and that's when they said my baby was ugly. They said, this is a terrible idea, you're boring me. I was in the middle of pitch, and if you heard me pitch, I'm full go. I'm in it, I know you love it, and I'm making sure you love it. And he was like, man, that was terrible. And we were in Zoom, but I had to turn the camera off because my facial expression was what? But it was the first time that someone in tech was able to tell me exactly what I'm doing wrong, why nobody cares, why nobody's responding to me. And it was really eye-opening. Like the first day or two, I cried a couple times, I think, just because it was like, this is crazy. I've been spending all this time and this is what's wrong. But what they did do was, this is why you're messing up. This is why it's not successful. They gave me the milestones. They gave me the tools I needed to understand how tech works. And I took that back and took the good parts about Writer and started developing influence. And so the sharing piece was the biggest deal. And that's why I tried to find out, how do I track sharing? How do I track work? How do I track? And over the next year and a half, I fully developed the idea for Influencer and had the beta developed. So we had a beta program. It's really a testing program for the first launch. And Thunder Launchpad, Stitch Crew in Oklahoma City was the first group to give me an opportunity to work in their accelerator and take my idea from A to B. And that's when I got a chance to talk to businesses, get them on board. Within 3 months, 65 businesses loved what I was doing. They jumped on, 300 users jumped on, and I decided to go after big companies because that's where the money was. And that's where I learned they're just gonna pull your strings and drag you along because you're still not hitting those numbers just yet. But the feel for like me wanting to go after them forced me to neglect small businesses that were hype, that they were animated, they were ready to go. And I spent so much time going after the big fish that I neglected the small ones. And it hurt me again. So it was another learning lesson in the middle of it. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna refocus it specifically for small businesses. And if others come, they come. But if I can provide value for small businesses, and the ones that were excited about it to begin with, that's when I realized I had something.
That's good. If we take time to, make sure that we focus on our target
Right.
and stop trying to just hit at everything, then that we definitely make sure that we make moves. I love that you came back to the small business because I think sometimes the small businesses are underestimated, but there are everyday businesses. I mean, there's the stuff that you see in your town, their city, they may become nationally or internationally known, but they may not, but they're gonna be there,
Right.
you know?
They're the backbone of the community in general. If small businesses fail, it's gonna be worse than if Nike or somebody fails, because they're the ones that are spending the dollar in our town, keeping things moving. And yeah, even I neglected them. And so I really took an introspective look, like, without any marketing, just by word of mouth, you added all these people. And they would recommend other businesses. They say, oh, you need to talk to this person, tell them I sent you. Oh, you need to talk to this person, tell them I sent you. Before you know it, that's where I had to refocus and say, I need to listen to what my customers are talking about.
Yeah. So shout out Stitch Crew, Oklahoma City. Let's see, Thunder Launchpad, that's the same thing. So we talked about, it was something that you said, I wanted to highlight something. I can't remember what it was now, but it will come back. But we want to talk about the implications of the massacre for modern day entrepreneurship and for entrepreneurship as a whole. And tell me your thoughts on what you feel like that is.
So the implications, one, the city burning down, the businesses losing, lives being lost, everything happening was terrible. But what's getting left out of that list of terrible things that happened was our ability to focus on community, our ability to want to share and support each other. It felt like that we started adopting just this independent, as long as I'm good, as long as I'm making money, and it wasn't about us, it became more about me. And that's the biggest thing that I think we've lost over time. Because there's more than Black Wall Street. There were others that were spawned and destroyed or taken advantage of. And as a community, I feel like we have lost the fact that this is how we get back to it. And it's like, okay, I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna take my business, I'm gonna be successful. And it's like, no, we have to rebuild community first, that mindset. We have to re-educate ourselves to not be afraid, have that courage to support each other and not just be like, that's my competitor. I don't want to sit anybody to them. I don't want to talk about them because it's gonna take away from my shop. But like you said, that we're a communal group.
Yeah.
Every other community is a community.
Right.
You know when you walk into the Asian district side of town. You know when you walk into the Hispanic side of town because they're still activated and working in that space. And even though you still see it when you go out north, what I want to do is build that piece where it becomes something that is a forefront of what you talk about. When you walk to me and talk to me, I'm going to tell you about businesses you may need to talk to.
Yeah.
Someone you need to go speak to. Like being a connector, being, yes, go support this group, go support this person. And that's why I think we need to re-educate entrepreneurs to value. And that's what I think we lost that isn't being talked about.
I love how this week, earlier this week when we were talking, you mentioned that when people think about, when we talk about individuals versus community, when people remember Black Wall Street, they remember
The community.
Right.
They don't remember the individual businesses as a whole. Some might, that's great. But the community itself is what's being celebrated.
And how many times the dollar was circulated in the community.
In the community.
Yeah.
We talk about that all the time. 100 years after it's been.
Yeah.
I could have the most successful, brick and mortar building over here in the far corner by myself. When I die and that business is gone, they're not going to remember that in 100 years. I forget businesses a couple years after they no longer.
They come and go so fast.
Right. And so community and a sense of community lasts longer than individual. When it's about us, it's more impactful and your legacy is that much greater when people who aren't even born yet are gonna remember you, talk about you, wear shirts with your business name on it, with your community name on it. That's really what's important. What you're gonna do, what are you gonna do, what are you gonna offer to legacy of people that aren't even born yet?
It truly does take a village. I learned, you've always heard the proverb, it takes a village. But when I became a mother 5 years ago, I really realized, oh, it takes a village. Like, I birthed this child, but everybody, my mom and my aunts and my sisters and people at church, it took all of us. And I feel like, that's just exactly what you said. Those businesses are our babies. And it's taking all of us to make sure that y'all need to go see Onifade, because he's got the best cookies and toast, right? And he really does. Shout out Onifade's Cookie Company. Yes. A young person being an entrepreneur, we've got a young entrepreneur right here in our midst, and his mother, who is an amazing mother. Amazing, amazing. So we talk about that, like you said, it's just about making sure that we say, hey, go over to Abby and see, you need to talk to her. You can help me find out how to get paid to do that. But that's
the
what you're
goal.
doing.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Is to make that relevant.
That's exactly what you're doing. So I actually advanced that and I didn't mean to. But I want to make sure that have you guys been enjoying this conversation? Yeah. I've thoroughly been enjoying this. So I wanted to just kind of get any questions. We want to open it up for questions now. If anybody in the audience has questions. So the person who has her hand up right now is also one of those community builders. Crystal Patrick.
Hi. Yes, okay, I don't need a microphone unless you want me to for Facebook purposes. So, funny story, this is Leon Fowler, but myself and Baxter, we called him Standing North for a long time because every time we'd be at 36, we'd walk in when the sun go down and walk into Standing North, the room over there. And I found out, we called him that, we found out his real name about a month or two ago. So that's his nickname, Standing North. Okay, oh yes, okay. I like what you said about, y'all forgive me. Okay, here we go. This is a question I have. Can you sign up? I just downloaded the app. Can you sign up if you have more than one business? Can you put? Okay. Also.
Yes. So let me answer that. Words. Yes, you can sign up more than one business if you have a hierarchy of businesses. So say you have corporate, region, chapter, you can organize it that way. If you're focused on Tulsa and Dallas, you can break it up any kind of way. Okay. So yes, influencer can handle all.
All right. And do you also, are nonprofits eligible for the same?
Yes.
So business.
Yes. Whether you're selling products or not.
Okay.
If you need to communicate to consumers, influencer can handle.
Right. Okay, and I like what you said about, that's what I was trying to remember about, or maybe Tara, you said it about when you take people, no, it was you, this whole idea of your business. When you take someone to Black Wall Street Liquor Lounge, you may have never went. Or somebody introduced me to Notions over there behind Boxyard, and that's my favorite place to get a latte, right? And then now I have meetings over there, and then I start thinking it really is a community thing because now maybe they'll go and bring somebody else. So that just really made me feel good to know that even though I may not have a lot of time to volunteer or a lot of money to buy something from everybody, still those little small steps really equal, amount to a big thing. So thank you.
Thank you. And that's right. Yeah. I mean, the more we talk about businesses, we already do it already. So we just want to make it easier for you to do that.
Hi, I'm Francis. I'm visiting for a few weeks. This is so awesome. And I think my standout moment in Tulsa was at the Greenwood Rising Museum. Before that, it was Holderton, but the Greenwood Rising Museum took over. And I went to one of the J's for lunch. It was awesome. The Wednesday special was amazing. And I had my beard cut at T's barbershop. Willie Sells, who I'm sitting down with to write a business plan tomorrow for like his wife's business. Yeah, it's like this could only ever happen in Tulsa.
Right.
Were you able, and it's okay if you weren't, but like, were you able to build your app kind of end to end here? Like how much were you able to do here versus how much did you have to go outside of the ecosystem to accomplish what you've done today?
So even outside of outside of Tulsa, outside of this ecosystem, development costs is a lot for apps. So that was one of the connections I made when I went to Oakland. So before I got a chance to go to the boot camp, I had kind of a working MVP. But when I went to Oakland, I got introduced to a gentleman who said, this is how you find developers to develop your stuff. Get on Fiverr, which is an app where you can get little things created. And I didn't give my entire project out. I just said, I need somebody to create this little piece. And I went through about 100 people, found one, and they created it. And I was like, okay, add this, add this, add this. Before they knew it, the first app that I was working on, that I was getting quoted $250,000 to build, they built for $5,000. But they're out of Pakistan. And so I've been working with them for the past 5 years because they actually worked on my first one. And so I've been working with them because they've just been diligent. And that's how I found my first development company to work on my product.
Do you mind me asking when that was?
Sure. That was the end of 2016 when I finally met them, and then they finished building the first one mid 2017. So
There's one on Zoom. You can do that one now. Yeah.
Okay, so Regina on Zoom says, Leon, in 20 years, what will your legacy be shaping up to be?
in 20 years, this is actually a great question. I did a personal mission statement. Stephen Covey has a personal mission statement which addresses this and what do you want to be remembered for. Man, right. I want to create an impact on people that I'll never meet. When you go to influencer.com, it says community over everything. And the reason for that is because every idea that I'm working on from here forward has to deal with community and people that don't have the resources that I either have or I learned from my experiences. So for me, everything I want to work on has to deal with community in one way or another. It has to benefit people who either don't have the resources or lack resources. And so what do I want my legacy to be is I want to be an impact change maker for people that will never get a chance to meet.
There's a question there.
So, and it's not, I said this one before, but the question is, what is your biggest challenge right now? Like, what needs to happen so that your business influencer can be seen in Africa, in Asia, in wherever, if that is the big dream?
Definitely is. I'm currently working full time. That is immediately the biggest thing that hinders me from being able to expand, even just here in Tulsa, because my time is my lunch or evenings. When they say they see me when the sun goes down, that's the time I have to work, because that's the time I can meet and talk to people. So events like this allow me to talk to a large group of people in a short amount of time. And so I'm already working with a couple individuals who we're looking at that global strategy. One of the gentlemen's right there in the back, CJ. But the goal is to be able to reach outside of this country and all over the world and be able to make an impact there. So the immediate need is to get the word out, to get people to understand. And because it's a new technology, I completely understand, okay, I'm so used to utilizing social media to network and communicate with my consumers. what is this new technology? How can this immediately benefit me? So I have to be able to translate and give people peace about, listen, focus on your current customers, provide value. And I'm gonna provide the tools to keep you providing value. And if each one of you do that, when she adds her 100, she adds her 200, he adds her 1,000, we're able to then have a pool of consumers that we can all reach and we can all provide value to. But if you can't provide value to the customers that already love you and support you, then I can't help you create new customers. But what I'm gonna do is help you reach your current ones first. And so being able to get that voice out, being able to tell people that this is how we grow our community, is providing value for those that love us already. That's how we can get, not just in Tulsa, not just in Texas, not just in New York, but all over the world.
So what is the next actionable step? So if I'm a guy, I just met you.
Right.
Before tonight, I didn't know you.
Right.
What do I need to do next that will help you get you a step further?
I would say, one, sign up on the platform. I have a lot of friends and a lot of people that support me, but I can guarantee you, I see everyone that's downloaded the app. It hits my mail. So just downloading the app and being familiar with it, and then being able to say, I understand what this value is. Now I can talk to somebody else about it. Now I can say, you need to come talk to this group about it. And I'll work my tail off to come talk to whatever group, whatever individual. So if you were saying, what is step one? Download the app. If you have a business, step two is to add your business. There's resources on influencer.com that show you how to do that show you how to create activities, how to add your business. But if you don't download the app, you don't know what it looks like. If you don't download the app, you don't know how to explain it to someone else. If you don't download the app, I can't tell you, we need to be in Kenya right now. And you're gonna be like, well, there's this thing called influencer. It's still ambiguous. It's still a black box that I've never even looked at. So if you're looking for step one is just download the app. It's free to do so. Both platforms, Apple and Android.
Last question.
Sure.
Thank you. All right. So, number one, about to challenge people. How many people in here have influence on their phones? All right, so we got an opportunity for growth right now, right?
I love it.
Right? And so we got an opportunity for growth. The next question is, if you were to rank organizations, so we got like churches, nonprofits, social media companies, marketing, and whatever. If you would rank, who would be the most, who would gain the most benefit, like top of the line, if you can put that. If you can, that's fine. But who would gain the most by using you?
So without saying your business isn't good enough, no, I'm not saying that at all. Businesses that communicate regularly or need to be able to communicate with people who might not be utilizing social media like they expect them to be. So churches, nonprofits that need to get their voice out, that need to fundraise, that need to talk about activities they're doing, politicians who are trying to get their platform together, that are trying to reach grassroots individuals, or businesses that rely on folks coming to their business. So if you're constantly doing pop-up shops or constantly doing food trucks and you're just moving around all the time, you need to be able to communicate to your consumers so they know where you are. They need to be able to find you easily and support you. So it's difficult for me to measure a specific industry. But what I can say is, if you need to communicate regularly to your consumers, you're number one on my list.
So I love how, Paul, you said you had one more question.
I like
Maybe
this
two more
question.
questions. You know the same thing? No, but those are great questions. So I have a question. We know you just told us that downloading influencer was free for us. How does that benefit you? How does that, I want to know, how does it equate to dollars and cents so that you don't have to work full-time job trying to make that job?
So The subscription piece is for businesses that are reaching out to the consumer. So the number of activities that you can do per month is determined by the subscription that you purchase. And so my goal is to make it affordable, because apps that are for business, like Groupon, that allows you to do promotions, first makes you try to, you know, discount 60, 70% and then pay them $300, $400 a month just to do it. They outprice themselves for small businesses. So I want to make sure my app is affordable for mom and pop stores, that if you're able to generate 1 or 2 people coming in to spend money, it pays for itself. So that's where we generate revenue, is the subscription model that's going to be in place. So, and so downloading and getting the app gets you on the platform. Adding your business gets you seen by individuals that are signed up on the platform. But whenever we start doing subscriptions, the number of times that you're reaching out will determine the subscription that you're purchasing.
So you don't get paid to a subscription then?
Yes,
Okay, so when, is that coming quick?
within the next month, it will be active.
Okay, and I'm not trying to push, but I'm just like,
No, you're good.
I know how hard you work, you know?
I would say it's better for your businesses to sign up now, because I'm granting free credits to businesses that signed up before we add subscriptions. So you're gonna have free credits that you'll be able to utilize at any time if you hurry up and add your business.
Sam, did you have a question?
Hey, happy Turf Tuesday. How you doing?
Doing great, doing
Awesome.
great.
First of all, I appreciate you taking the time out and just being transparent and talking about your journey. Definitely appreciate that. One of the things I want to talk about is as technology is moving at lightning speed, and we talk about blockchain and the metaverse and Web3, how do you foresee and how are you forecasting influence in the future with all this technology and this advent of lightning speed technology taking place right now?
Right. There's a reason why MySpace doesn't exist. It's because it didn't adapt and it didn't grow with technology. Facebook constantly sending you updates, constantly doing that. So I'm going into this business with the understanding that we're going to constantly have to evolve and figure out new ways to communicate or new ways to benefit small businesses. When you talk about blockchain, that is uniquely something that CJ and I and some other people, we have considered how can we utilize this technology. And so when we talk about sharing events and sharing activities and us being able to identify the monetary influence you bring, that's a legend. It went to Leon, then it went to someone else, and it went to someone else. That's blockchain in itself. That's basic blockchain. So being able to identify or utilize blockchain is definitely something that I'm interested in. It's something that I would like to pair my business with. And if at a certain time, utilizing a coin to do these transactions, if that becomes a feasible idea, that would be something I would definitely consider. Because if we're able to utilize transactions and track dollars being spent, and then being able to convert that back to fiat for individuals to cash out, I think that's a no-brainer to have a marketplace where you can actually spend money that's specific to that marketplace. So thank you for that. I think that's something that I'm strongly considering and looking to see how it can be beneficial.
Those are all great questions. And this has been great. I told you that I was gonna like set you up for a layup. I hope I did that.
This was awesome. I appreciate you for the opportunity.
So do you have any closing thoughts about anything that you talked about today? Anything you want to share with us? Or-
I would say, closing thoughts would just be to let's re-educate ourselves, to have the courage to be fearless in sharing other businesses, to be fearless in building this community, whether you're on influencer or not. If we break that cycle of just me, myself, and I, our community here and abroad and all over the world can be more successful than it is currently. Because working by yourself, we've seen when events like COVID happened, how many small businesses did not make it out of there. But we've also seen a resurgence of small businesses that respond because I'm at home and I have a great idea. I have something I can contribute. And a lot of people are going back to the workforce. So to keep you from having to be by yourself and survive by yourself, we need to work together, period. And that's the only way we're gonna be able to sustain, survive, and build a legacy. So those are my closing.
How can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, influencer.com. You can add your business there. Leon at Influencer. I'm easy to find. There's not too many places I'm not.
Basecamp.
Basecamp too.
Standing North.
Standing North.
North.
That's my word.
That's the, we're gonna name that the Leon.
Listen, I will, we talk to the right people. We'll do that. Right there.
Abby Scott.
Yeah,
So can we give Leon a hand? So grateful and we were finally able to do this. Before we go, we typically have some treats from a local Black-owned business for all of you that are here with us in person. And we do have that tonight. We have some charcuterie cups that were made by the Dainty Fig. So please go and get some of those. And also, Onipade's Cookie Company brought some cookies for us tonight. So you get a cookie, you get a charcuterie cup. A little bit too far. But I really enjoyed this. I hope that you all did too. I don't know if there's, we're gonna talk about one thing we didn't talk about really quickly. Upcoming events. You talked about community. What's going on?
Community. So if you download the app, you'll see right there on the featured businesses, you'll see Black Economic Expo. We're working with them to be able to promote all their vendors that are going to be a part of that. I believe that's happening around Thanksgiving weekend. I'm also working with the GEW to host an event. Going to be a watch party for OSU Bedlam game. So it's going to be sponsored by Influencer. You have to subscribe to the GEW so you can see all the specials. Subscribe. So if it's open, there's no cover. The goal is to be able to promote businesses, and I'll have some businesses hopefully speaking and being able to tell you about their business while we're there at the watch party. So I look forward to seeing you all. It's a Saturday after Thanksgiving, if you didn't know. So you'll be looking for something to do right downtown. Whether you're Tulsa remote or not, you're not going home, you need something to do. Come join us, have fun, hang out.
Leon, thank you. To add to the 36 Degrees North community, and thank you for all that you're doing for our community. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right.